Skinwalker Ranch and surrounding Uinta Basin paranormal activity. During a Bigfoot expedition into the Uinta Mountains, I took Duke from Missoula, Montana to Skinwalker Ranch and circled the area, showing him some of the places where I have had some strange experiences and captured some of the strange UAP phenomena that this area is famous for. I told Duke that we need to get as much footage and photos as we can because I have found strange saucer-shaped UAPs in some of my past footage. This area is just crazy with UFO activity. At one of the places close to the ranch, I showed Duke a place where Jenny and I watched a giant wolverine make its way through a boulder field. And it was really weird because we haven't ever heard of wolverine sightings in the Uinta Basin. I took several photos of the location while Duke filmed, and I told him about our experience. I captured an unusual UAP anomaly of energy I can't explain on the mesa wall near the boulder field in 3 of my photos. Then, after reviewing Duke's footage, we discovered he captured the same phenomena on video. At first, I thought it was maybe a powerful light reflection from the camera lens, or perhaps from the vehicle or something, even though it's an overcast day. However, whatever this anomaly of energy, or UAP if you will, is seen flying directly over the mesa with the sky in the background, it does not disappear. If this is some kind of reflection, it would disappear without something solid behind it for the light to shine on to form. Also, when it zips into the frame from the right side, it seems to move with purpose, and then hovers over and around the boulder field we are focused on. I am discounting lens flare from Duke's camera for the fact that when he pans away from the boulder field and then back, this UFO thing stays in the same general area of the boulders. I don't know what it is. However, if you have ever watched the Skinwalker Ranch television series, they often capture strange UAPs or UFOs flying around the ranch and mesa.
Actual area that Kelly and Jenny were out here and saw a huge wolverine, which you wouldn't expect to even be out here.
Right across the street from Skinwalker Ranch.
Yep. And you can see that there's a little bit of a woodsy area here too, so it wasn't just
see the giant boulder right here with the split on one side?
Right.
That's the last place we saw it. It went behind that boulder and never reappeared. We got to see it work its way past the giant mushroom one and all of that, and it took its time. I'm just ashamed that we probably got to witness it for a good 10 seconds or so and didn't get it on camera. We got it with the dash cam, but from that distance it was just too pixelated.
Oh my god, a whole 10 seconds.
It's Rocky Mountain Sasquatch. Because the Uinta Mountains seems to be a major epicenter of Bigfoot sightings in Utah, our team does several expeditions and investigations to sighting locations there each year. We then search the surrounding areas for resources and evidence of the elusive creature. One of our favorite Bigfoot hotspots to investigate is along the south slopes of this unique mountain range. Getting to and from many of these places, we drive through the Uinta Basin that is well known for paranormal activity. One of the major epicenters of this activity is the famous Skinwalker Ranch. As a novelty, we circle that ranch several times a year, hoping to see something unusual. The last 2 times we were there, we saw something kind of unusual for the area, and we also captured on camera a UAP, defined as unexplained aerial phenomenon. The former term when I was growing up that was used was UFO, defined as unidentified flying object. Jen and I saw a giant brown-colored wolverine just outside Skinwalker Ranch on the west side. It was so big that I thought it was a large brown-colored black bear, then realized after seeing its tail that it was in fact a massive wolverine making its way through a large boulder field before disappearing behind one of the giant boulders to never be seen again. Wolverines are very rare for Utah, and I have never heard of a wolverine being spotted in the Uinta Basin. The last time Jen and I were there, we had Brody and Rhonda with us. When we got to the east side of the ranch, We took a few photos of an abandoned house and some vacant buildings on the old homestead that's less than 500 feet from the Skinwalker property line. When we got home, we noticed a saucer-shaped UAP or UFO above Skinwalker Ranch. Zooming in on the object that appeared in just one photo, it appears to be a silvery light color on the top half and a dark, almost black color on the bottom. The darker bottom half seems to be larger in circumference than the silver-topped dome area of this strange craft, UAP, or UFO if you will. Searching through our photos to see if this craft appears in any of the others, we discovered something creepy and almost sinister outside the vacant ranch house. It's right under one of the windows and appears to be staring at us while we were snapping photos. It's devilish looking to appearance in me. Not sure what it is, but very interesting on a day that we capture some sort of UFO that is either hovering or flying over the famous Skinwalker Ranch. Hope you enjoyed a look at what we consider something strange and unusual during our drive to one of our Bigfoot expedition locations. Keep on watching, we're going to keep on squatching. On this day, we captured several images of what looked like saucer-shaped UAP or orbs over the ranch. And then I took a couple of comparison photos of the abandoned homestead close to the ranch to see if the devilish figure was still near the window of the house. It's not there. Whatever it was we captured on the camera the last time is gone. We've traveled to where two worlds collide, so to speak. The world of Bigfoot and the world of Skinwalker. To the west of us, we have Bigfoot sightings. To the east, we have the famous Skinwalker Ranch. We're here to take a look around to see if we can find evidence of Skinwalker or Bigfoot. In August of 1996, a team of scientists arrived on a remote ranch in northeast Utah to investigate a bizarre litany of phenomena, including unidentified flying objects, animal mutilations, paranormal and poltergeist occurrences that appear to erupt almost on a nightly basis. The first piece of information the team learned from local people was the ranch lay on a path of the Skinwalker. Was the Skinwalker responsible for the weird happenings on this ranch? What followed was a multi-year odyssey into the dark unknown as the science team tried to pursue, measure, and photograph the elusive Skinwalker. The complete account of the unprecedented research project is published in the book Hunt for Skinwalker. In the religion and cultural lore of the southwestern tribes, there are witches known as skinwalkers who can alter their shapes. It will assume the characteristics of certain animals. Most of the world's cultures have their own shapeshifter legends. The beast known as the werewolf, popularized by dozens of Hollywood movies. European legends as far back as the 1500s tell stories about werewolves. The people of India have a were-tiger, Africa has were-leopards and were-jackals, and Egyptians tell of were-hyenas. In the America Southwest, the Navajo, Ute, and other tribes have their own versions of the Skinwalker story. These legends and stories are basically the same thing. Person or a witch is capable of transforming itself into a wolf, coyote, bear, bird, or any other animal. Basically, the most prevalent story is a person that can transform into a wolf or coyote. The witch might wear the hide of the skin of the animal it identifies with to assume, and when the transformation is complete, the human inherits the speed, strength, or cunning of the animal whose shape it is taken. The Navajo skinwalkers use mind control to make their victims do things to hurt themselves and even end their lives. The skinwalker is a very powerful witch. They can run faster than a car and can jump mesa cliffs without any effort at all. A young attorney in the mid-70s worked in a legal aid program in Ganado, Arizona. Most of his clients were Navajo. He had a legal confrontation with a witch that occurred in a dispute over a child custody and financial support. His client, a Navajo woman, lived on the reservation with her son, was asking for full custody rights and back child support payments from her estranged husband, an Apache man. At one point during the legal wrangling, the husband got permission to take the son out for an evening, but didn't return the boy until the next day. The son later told his mother what had transpired that night. According to the son, he spent the night with his father and the medicine man. They built a fire atop a cliff, and for many hours the medicine man performed ceremonies, songs, and incantations around the fire. As dawn broke, the three traveled into a wooded area near a cemetery, where they dug a hole. Into the hole the medicine man deposited 2 dolls of wood. One of the dolls was made of dark wood, the other of light wood. It was as if the 2 dolls were meant to represent the mother and her lawyer. Although the lawyer wasn't sure how seriously to take the news, he recognized it certainly didn't sound good, so he sought the advice of a Navajo professor at a nearby community college. He told me that the ceremony I had described was very powerful and very serious, and that it meant that I was supposed to end up buried in that cemetery, the lawyer says. He also said that the witch can perform this type of ceremony only 4 times in his life, because if he tries it more than that, the curse would come back on the witch himself. He also told me that if the intended victim found out about it, then the curse would come back onto the person who had requested it. The lawyer thought about a way to let the husband know that he had found out about the ceremony, so he filed court papers that requested an injunction against the husband and the unknown medicine man, whom he described in the court documents as John Doe, a witch. The motion described in great detail the alleged ceremony. The opposing attorney appeared extremely upset by the motion, as did the husband and the presiding judge. The opposing lawyer argued into the court that the medicine man had performed a blessing way ceremony, not a curse. The lawyer knew that the judge, who was a Navajo, could distinguish between a blessing ceremony, which takes place in Navajo hogans or homes, and what was obviously darker ceremony involving look-alike dolls that took place in woods near a cemetery. The judge nodded in agreement with the attorney. Before the judge could rule, the attorney requested recess so that the significance of the legal motion would sink in. Next day, the husband capitulated the agreement to grant total custody to the mother and pay back all the child support. I took it very seriously because he took it seriously, the lawyer says. I learned early on that sometimes witches will do things themselves to assist the supernatural, and I knew what that might mean. Whether or not the attorney literally believes that witches have supernatural powers, he acknowledges that this belief is strongly held in the Navajo Nation. Certain communities on the reservation had reputations as witchcraft strongholds, he says. It is also unknown whether the witch he faced was a skinwalker or not. Not all witches are skinwalkers, he says, but all skinwalkers are witches, and skinwalkers are at the top. They are a witch's witch, so to speak. According to the University of Las Vegas, Nevada, anthropologist Dan Banyashet, who specializes in the study of Native Americans of the Southwest, skinwalkers are purely evil in intent. I'm no expert on it, but the general view is that skinwalkers do all sorts of terrible things. They make people sick, they commit murders, they are grave robbers and necrophiliacs. They are greedy and evil people who must kill a sibling or other relative to be initiated as a skinwalker. They supposedly can turn into were-animals and can travel in supernatural ways. Anthropologist David Zimmerman of the Navajo Nation Historic Preservation Department explains, skinwalkers are folks that possess knowledge of medicine both practical, healing the sick, and spiritual, that maintain harmony, and they are both wrapped together in ways that are nearly impossible to untangle. There has been a lot of serious research into medicine men and traditional healers. As healers, they are regarded as being very effective in some areas. There is a dark side to the learning of the medicine men. Witches follow some of the same training and obtain similar knowledge as their benevolent colleagues, but they supplement both this in their pursuit of the dark arts or black magic. By Navajo law, a known witch has forfeited its status as a human and can be killed at will. The assumption is that a witch, by definition, is evil. It is extremely difficult to get Native Americans to discuss skinwalkers. Even the most general terms, practitioners of Adishquash or witchcraft, are considered to be very real presence in the Navajo world. Few Navajo want to cross paths with a Naglashi, otherwise known as skinwalker. The cautious Navajo will not speak openly about skinwalkers, especially with strangers, because to do so might invite the attention of an evil witch. After all, a stranger who asks questions about skinwalkers might be one himself looking for the next victim. One story told on the Navajo reservation in Arizona concerns a woman who delivered newspapers in the early morning hours. She claims that during her rounds, she heard a scratching on the passenger door of her vehicle. Her baby was in the car seat next to her. The door flung open and she saw the horrifying form of a creature she described as half man, half beast, glowing red eyes and a gnarly arm that reached for her child. She fought it off, managed to pull the door closed, then pounded the gas pedal and sped off. To her horror, she says, the creature ran along the car. It continued to keep up and tried to open the door as it ran along. It stayed with her until she screeched up to an all-night convenience store. She ran inside, screaming hysterically. But when the employee dashed outside, the being had vanished. Outsiders may view the story as skeptical. Any number of alternative explanations might be suggested, but it is taken very seriously on the Navajo reservation. Although skinwalkers are generally believed to prey only on Native Americans, there are recent reports from Anglos claiming that they had encounters with skinwalkers while driving on or near tribal lands. One New Mexico Highway Patrol officer told us that while patrolling a stretch of highway south of Gallup, New Mexico, he had 2 separate encounters with a ghastly creature that seemed to attach itself to the door of his vehicle. During the first encounter, the veteran law enforcement officer said that the unearthly being appeared to be wearing a ghostly mask as it kept pace with his patrol car. To his horror, he realized that the ghoulish specter wasn't attached to the door at all. Instead, he said it was running alongside his vehicle as he cruised down the highway at a high rate of speed. The officer said that he had a nearly identical experience in the same area a few days later. He was shaken to the core by these encounters, but didn't realize that he would soon get some confirmation that what he had seen was real. While having coffee with a fellow highway patrolman not long after the second incident, the cop cautiously described his twin experiences. To his amazement, the second officer admitted having his own encounter with the white-masked ghoul, being that appeared out of nowhere and then somehow kept pace with his cruiser as he sped across the desert. The first officer told us that he still patrols the same stretch of highway and that he is petrified every time he enters the area. Once Caucasian family still speaks in hushed tones about its encounter with the skinwalker. Even though it happened in 1983, while driving at night along Route 163 through the massive Navajo reservation, the 4 members of the family felt that someone was following them. As their truck slowed down to a round, sharp curve, the atmosphere changed, and time itself seemed to slow down. Then something leaped out of the roadside ditch at the vehicle. It was black and hairy, and its eyes were level with the cab, one of the witnesses recalled. Whatever this thing was, it wore a man's clothes. It had on a white and blue checkered shirt and long pants. Its arms were raised over its head, almost touching the top of the cab. It looked like a hairy man or a hairy animal in man's clothing. But it didn't look like an ape or anything like that. Its eyes were yellow, and its mouth was open. The father is described as a fearless man who served 2 tours in Vietnam. He turned completely white. The blood drained from his face, the hair on his neck and arms stood up, like a cat under duress, and noticeable goosebumps erupted from his skin. Although time seemed frozen during this bizarre interlude, the truck continued on its way, and the family was soon miles down the highway. A few days later, at their home in Flagstaff, the family awoke to the sounds of loud drumming. As they peered out their windows, they saw the dark forms of 3 men outside their fence. The shadowy beings tried to climb the fence to enter the yard, but seemed inexplicably unable to cross onto the property. Frustrated by their failed entry, the men began to chant into the darkness as the terrified family huddled inside the house. The daughter Frances says she contacted a friend, a Navajo woman who is knowledgeable about witchcraft. The woman visited the home, inspected the grounds, and offered her opinion the intruders had been skinwalkers who were drawn by the family's power, and that they intended to take that power by whatever means necessary. She surmised that the intrusion failed because something was protecting the family. While admitting that it was highly unusual since skinwalkers rarely bother non-Indians, the Navajo woman performed a blessing ceremony on the home. Whether the ceremony had any legitimacy or not, the family felt better for it and has had no similar experiences in the ensuing years. Exactly how and when did the Skinwalker legend intersect with the Gorman Ranch in northeastern Utah, otherwise known as Skinwalker Ranch? Retired teacher and UFO researcher Junior Hicks says his friend and the Ute tribes believe the Skinwalker presence in the Uinta Basin extends back at least 15 generations. The Utes described by historians a fierce and warlike people. They were sometimes aligned with the Navajo against common enemies during the 1800s, but the alliance didn't last. When the Utes first acquired horses from the Spanish, they enthusiastically embraced the Spanish example of engaging in the slave trade. They reportedly abducted Navajos and other Indians and sold them in New Mexico slave markets. Later, during the American Civil War, some Ute bands took orders from Kit Carson in the military campaign against the Navajo. According to Hicks, the Utes believed the Navajo put a curse on their tribe in retribution for many perceived transgressions. And ever since that time, Hicks told, the Skinwalker plagued the Ute people. The ranch property has been declared off limits to the tribal members because it lies in the path of the Skinwalker. Even today, Utes refuse to set foot on what they see as an accursed land. But the tribe doesn't necessarily believe that the Skinwalker lives on the ranch. Hicks says that the Utes told him that the Skinwalker lives in a place called Dark Canyon, which is not far from the ranch. In the early 1980s, Hicks sought permission from the tribal elders to explore the canyon. He's been told that there are centuries-old petroglyphs in the Dark Canyon, some of which depict the Skinwalker. But the tribal council denied his request to explore the canyon. One member later confided to Hicks that the tribe denied the request because it did not want to disturb the Skinwalker for fear it might create problems. The tribe's advice to Hicks? Leave it alone. We were only 4 or 5 miles from Skinwalker Ranch. In the direction of Skinwalker Ranch, Skinwalker country. The opposite direction to the west is Bigfoot country. Many Bigfoot sightings. We often wonder if there is a correlation after looking into the Skinwalker phenomenon. It seems more like to me that the Skinwalker are evil witch doctors or medicine men. I don't think that they're related. The Skinwalker is more like the Native American werewolf. Bigfoot is an elusive humanoid giant of the forest. It has an ape-like appearance, although it stands upright, and many who have seen the Bigfoot says its face is more human-like than ape-like. We're at a place where I consider two worlds collide. I don't know. Has a Bigfoot and a Skinwalker ever come face to face? I don't know. We're going to keep searching for Bigfoot. I hope you enjoyed this. We're going to keep on squatching, keep on watching. We're also going to be wary of the Skinwalker since we do Bigfoot in places that are known for Skinwalkers. I hope to come face to face with the Bigfoots. I'll have to admit, I don't ever want to come face to face with the Skinwalker.